Hi all, I'm Dr. N. Sinja, Assistant Professor of English working at Wade School of Maritime Studies. So today I'm going to share a module which explains about modal verbs. So modal verbs are helping verbs which along with the main verbs will help us to know more about the subject of the sentence. It helps us to know whether the subject of the sentence will be able to do the specific action, or is there any probability or possibility for the subject to do the action specified in the sentence. So what are modal verbs? Some of the modal verbs that we use in sentences are will, would, can, could, may, might, shall, should, must, and ought to. Now, let's go deep into these modal verbs. Before we use the modal verbs in the sentence, we have to know the function of the modal verbs. So now, let's dig into the modal verbs and their functions. Can. We use can to denote the ability of the subject to perform an action or to request permission to perform an action. Let's see an example. Can you pick up my brother from school on your way home tomorrow? In this sentence, it's very much seen that someone is requesting to pick his or brother from school. So we use can to denote the ability of a subject to perform an action or to request permission to perform an action. Could. Similarly, could is used to denote the ability of the subject to perform an action or an offer made by the subject to perform an action. For example, I could make some time to help you with your assignments. May. May is used to denote the probability of an action taking place or to request permission to perform an action. For example, your friends may come to visit you next week. Might. Might can be used in a sentence to denote the probability of an action taking place or to make suggestion. It might rain in the evening. Will. Will is used to denote the surety of an action taking place or the assurance to perform a particular action. I think they will reach Coimbatore by 8 p.m. Would. We use would to show politeness when requesting or asking if an action can be done by the subject. It would not be possible for you to complete all of it by tomorrow evening. Shall. Shall can be used in a sentence to denote the surety of an action taking place or the assurance of the subject to perform a particular action. Shall I make some tea for you? Should. Should can be used to denote the necessity of an action to be done by the subject. All employees should follow the dress code strictly. Must. Must is used to denote the strong obligation or necessity for the subject to do or not to do an action. You must get yourself checked before the situation becomes worse. Ought to. Ought to is used to denote the obligation of the subject to perform a particular action. All students of this institution ought to abide by the rules and instructions provided. So, the list of these modal verbs and the functions will give us a clear idea where to use it and how to use it in a sentence. Here is a practice session. Most of the competitive exams will have sentences given where we are asked to fix the correct modal verbs in the sentence. So, the first question. It is very cold today. Do you think it? Snow later? Take your own time, guess the answer, and write it down in a sheet of paper. Let's move on to the next question. You dash leave your door unlocked when you go out. Think over the answer and write it down. They dash have filled the car with petrol before they set off. The hint below will help you to choose the right modal verbs. Next sentence. My motorbike broke down in the middle of nowhere, but luckily I dashed to fix it. Choose the right modal verb and write it down on the sheet of paper. Mom says, we dash watch TV after we have finished our homework. Make a note of your answer. You don't dash pick me up at the station. I can get a taxi. Let's move on to the next sentence. This is impossible. It dash be a mistake. Jim dash have seen me because he walked past without saying hello. Now, hope you have written the answers for all the questions. Let's check your answers with the solution. It's very cold today. Do you think it might snow later? You shouldn't leave your door unlocked when you go out. They ought to have filled the car with petrol before they set off. My motorbike broke down in the middle of nowhere, but luckily I was able to fix it. Mom says we can watch TV after we have finished our work. You don't have to pick me up at the station. I can get a taxi. This is impossible. It must be a mistake. Jim couldn't have seen me because he walked past without saying hello. Hope this module and modal verbs have helped you to prepare for your examination. Thank you.